afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Propagandacast Lehr with me, Harrison Dane, covering here, an updated AEC Mark III. Been a bit of an update here for Relic recently, which rather changed the AEC in a degree, I think, worth pointing out. There's an update here on the Lehr to sort of, fully sort of explain what it is to an extent, though it's not world-shattering, but still basically went from being, lightly effective as infantry, being pretty effective as infantry, thanks to basically receiving an AoE buff, which basically means this is now a pretty solid armoured car, which all changes how you can actually use it. Now you can use it a lot more aggressively, since you can actually do a lot more damage to infantry, which means there's overall a lot fewer threats and a lot more opportunities to use your armoured cars, not just for dealing with enemy armoured cars and supporting tanks versus other tanks, since, it still works pretty well versus armour to a certain extent. Versus heavier tanks, you will need to flank, but still, it does alright. They has decent damage, decent penetration, not all range. In a one-on-one with a Puma, it'll probably sort of end up losing still, but versus other vehicles, it should actually stand a pretty decent chance. Plus, now it's probably the armoured car that performs the best versus infantry, really, which again does give it an edge up. Plus, it has access to smoke, which is not what all things, of course, have access to. In fact, for the Germans, not a lot have unless they have it doctrinally. And that's only Wehrmacht. So, in that sense, it does advantages. And it still, of course, also has the target tread ability, which allows the first slow. And if the second shot connects, actually immobilize it, which again means it can actually again useful supporting tanks. Fire target tread, let's say, in a larger tank, immobilize it and just deal with it, flank with it, and do whatever you want to it. Which all means it's pretty mean, but again, now you can use it to aggressively more harass your opponent, flank him, and overall just punish him for not being prepared for armor. So in that sense, it overall presents a much stronger choice, and it's not like it's vastly expensive. It's 340 manpower and 50 fuel. So that does also give it a bit of an edge up in that sense. And of course, the veterancy bonus is still the same: target tread, more mobility, more survivability at Veteran 2 and Veteran 3 just becomes more accurate, shoots faster, and the turret turns faster, which again means it's overall that much more effective once it hits Veteran 3 and actually a real problem for infantry to survive with. And of course, in that sense, considering getting more than one focus armor at certain periods of time, depending on the situation, it's not focused on a bad idea. You can further heavily punish the infantry. And with the two armored cars, most medium tanks the enemy can immediately throw at you can actually be dealt with, as long as you don't just try to slug it out, but actually flank and use your armored cars in that sense. Maybe use a bit of target tread to further make them easier targets. In that sense, you do have a few options here, and of course, you can then further compound the nastiness of the AEC Mark III by going for Vanguard Regiment and using Raid Operation, which of course then allows the AEC to capture territory, which could really then make it to be an absolutely excellent raid vehicle, since that will force your opponent to have to bring a big response to the armoured car, which can still do some damage and quickly zip out of there, popping a smoke screen in the process, but at the same time just take huge swaths of territory. Have two of them, for example, and you can really sort of push your opponent, harass them, and really make things overall miserable for them. So in that sense, the AEC is actually very good. Now, there might I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a nerf for it anytime soon, though. But I doubt it'll take away the AoE, of course. Otherwise, I'll just have to update again and just say, look at the other one if that happens. But overall, right now, very solid choice. Expect more of them. Its overall threat's going to be, mines, anything that can sort of slow down, remove mobility, which means Panzerfaust, but also just mines. Telemines, legal mines, otherwise other armoured vehicles. Puma, for example, are probably one of your better options for dealing with it. Panzerschrecks, to a certain extent, if you can catch it. For the Wehrmacht, that's probably where the bigger threats will be. You could probably try to use a couple of armoured cars. It's still not that durable initially, but you're still going to be a bit clever about it, not just go try and sort of rush it head on, try to flank it, hit it from several points, then that way, deal with it. Maybe get free, actually. You still have spent less fuel, but of course you'll spend a lot more manpower getting free armoured cars, but then of course you can just turn them towards other things. Otherwise, armour is sort of a thing there, but do be careful about getting flanked by the armoured cars, since it can actually do a lot of damage, and supporting any other armour. If there's more armoured cars, you can actually risk losing your tank or Stug or whatever it is you're using. So do exercise a bit of caution in that regard. With that said, though, I don't think there's so much else to say about the AEC Mark III. Again, much more potent armoured car, something you have to worry about a lot more, and of course that means if you're playing off against the British, you do have to keep in mind, again, it can be reached very quickly by the British player, and that means you do have to prepare anti-tank defences much faster. And so either way, if you're the Wehrmacht, telemines, getting several scout cars, Pack 40s or Panzerschrecks, either from Panzer Grenadiers or Stormtroopers, or try and quick tier 3 rush. Either way, well, perhaps not that, but I'll always try and go for tier 3 as quickly as possible to get out something a bit more challenging for it and sort of push back and punish your opponent. And of course, you have the British, consider using it with Vanguard Regiment's raid operation from time to time, and try using more than one as well from time to time. You might suddenly find yourself able to sort of push your opponent a lot more. So, thank you all for joining in. Hopefully this has been educational. Hopefully this has improved upon your game, given you a few more tactics and strategies, and perhaps helped you versus the armoured car as well. And if it did, that's great. Feel free to subscribe, share it with everyone, and of course, like it. Every like means more people see it. So thank you all, and hope to see you all another time. This is Imperial Link, saying cheers. Bye.